focus on one plant. And so I start every day with the ball mill, like the noise of the ball mill, and it's like, I don't know if anybody else has heard it, it's really loud, and just kind of like, it's this metal cup sort of thing, and you pour your soil sample into it, and then you have 4 metal balls that you also put into it, and then it kind of like shakes it up, and it just turns your soil sample into like a fine powder. And so I also work in the soil lab, and the reason all the soil samples that I've been using are samples taken from sites where orchids grow. And orchids are kind of special because they're kind of threatened in the wild, mainly because they're really, they're kind of picky about like what they live in, and also like they're really dependent on their environment. Like if one pollinator goes extinct or is like driven out, then the orchids will die. And so we're just trying to, examine the environment in which they live in. And we're also looking at mycorrhiza fungi that can be found in the roots of orchids. And so, like Jesse said, research has shown that they have a sort of symbiotic relationship. So this is what an orchid looks like. They're really beautiful, and apparently like poaching is a problem. I didn't know you could poach plants until like 2 days ago, but people think they're really beautiful, and so they kind of take them home, and most people don't know how, what sort of environment they need to grow in, and so they just die. Like, you can buy them in the store, but they're really hard to find in the wild. So another thing that I do is I prepare my slides of root tissue, and we dye the root tissue blue, and then the fungus turns up sort of a different color. So you can see the roots have a lot of fungi on them. And so really a lot of people might wonder, like, who cares if like this one species goes extinct? Like, it's not going to affect me in any direct way. Like, why do I care? But like everything has like a function in this world, So if the orchids die off, then any other pollinators that depend on them also die off, and then you have like this huge chain reaction. So that's why this research is important, because it's kind of figuring out what orchids need to survive and like the relationships between orchids and other organisms. Yeah.
When you say in the wild, where are you talking about? Are you talking worldwide, or are you just talking here?
I'm talking here. I'm talking in Illinois. I don't know the exact sites where my mentors found the orchids, but I think in some places it's like you're not allowed to talk about where they are because they want to protect them from like poachers and people that just kind of want to go ruin their ecosystem.
Do you know how many species of orchid there are in Illinois?
No, but recently I was repotting orchids in the soil lab, and they had like 10 different orchids. I don't know if they were native to here or not. Yeah.
Do you know if there are any pollinators that do rely primarily on orchids?
Not specifically, no. Yeah.
I know you're just doing prairie orchids in Illinois, but did they ever study epiphytic orchids from somewhere else? Epiphytic means like live up in a tree and not in the soil. Did they talk about that at all?
Yeah, the orchids that I was repotting, we repotted them in just bark because orchids need a lot of air and water to survive. I'm not sure about ones that live in Illinois. I'll look into it. But one of the main reasons why they die is that people put them in potting soil and they can't survive. It's too wet for them. So usually they just need, like, you put them in a pot with bark, like broken up pieces of bark, or some peat moss, and they're good.
a specific reason why they're endangered?
Yeah, like I said, people like poach them, and
Just from people?
it's from people, and also, I guess, indirectly, people's interactions with the environment change the environment, and orchids like are very sensitive to that.
What habitat are they farming?
Orchids?
Yeah.
The ones that I was repotting live on trees or in rocky areas. I don't know exactly what the name,
I was gonna say.
like prairies or,
Do you think there's plenty of that habitat around for them anymore?
I mean, there's not a lot of like really natural areas left in anyway, so I've assumed it's shrunk quite a lot.
Do you think that could have an effect on the population?
Definitely.